Hello, I am Artosis. I'm here with Tasteless, and we're going to talk about Starcraft 2 today. And you know, we've already heard that most likely the game is going to be released this year.
Yes.
And we know the beta is coming out this summer. We've already been contacted about beta keys. When do you think the beta is going to come out?
Well, we actually have a bet going on about this. $10 bet. I think it's going to be BlizzCon. In fact, I hope Blizzard sees this video, and then they want to, they want you to lose, and then they actually move the beta to BlizzCon. You think it's going to be early, right? You think it's going to be this month?
I think it's going to be end of June, maybe beginning of July, because, I mean, look, if they want to make a winter release, they have to wait until after the beta, 3 to 5 months, to really get the game out there, to fix everything that was in the beta, get everything ready.
Yes.
That's the normal time frame that we've seen so far.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit earlier than BlizzCon. And why not? Because then you can have some really accomplished beta players play at BlizzCon, and I would love to see that.
Well, I would like it to come out earlier. Like, if it does come out, like tomorrow, for instance, I'll be happy. I'll be really happy. But I'm just guessing BlizzCon, that just makes sense. They announce big stuff at those events, so that's what I'm guessing. We'll see, though. If I lose, I'll be happy to give you those those $10. So because I'll be playing the game, so I'm okay with it. Whatever happens.
Yeah. I'm hoping, though. I mean, StarCraft 1, I love the game. I don't ever want to see it die, but this game is really exciting. And one of the things that really excites me the most is there's going to be this huge merger of the RTS communities. We have the StarCraft community, we have the Warcraft 3 community, and then we have the other RTS game community, which is all these little games that have just fractions of the players that the Blizzard RTS games have. Yeah,
that's quite true. Actually, what's really interesting about that is now all these other RTS players, like Command & Conquer guys, for instance, just to pull out one community, are playing StarCraft right now. I don't know why I said it like that, StarCraft. They're playing StarCraft right now on iCup, trying to get the hang of it, because obviously all these RTS games, they kind of function differently. You know what I mean? The mining in Command & Conquer is not like the mining in StarCraft. So we have a lot of Warcraft 3 players too, but everybody's playing a lot of StarCraft right now to kind of get the feel of it. Interestingly enough, a lot of these other non-StarCraft players are not doing well when it comes to StarCraft. They're not good. I've actually been helping some of them, and
StarCraft is
not going well.
It's such a complex economy to balance. I haven't seen another game like this in years that is anywhere near as complex economy-wise, and I think that's kind of like an abstract concept in an RTS game. A lot of them are much more straightforward. There's just so much economy balancing. When do I cut things and stuff like that. And just the level of StarCraft is so high. It's hard to break in, especially since to be competitive, you have to go somewhere like IC Cup nowadays.
Well, what's interesting about it as well is that with StarCraft, and I know you and me, and the games that whenever we broadcast, we're always talking about the meta game. But there really is a meta game in StarCraft that's constantly changing. So sometimes somebody hops in to the StarCraft scene, and at that point in time, all the Protosses are bulldog rushing, or all the Terrans are meching against Zerg. Then they stop, then they come back a year later, and everybody's doing something completely different. All the maps are different. So that can be something that's pretty difficult as well. I mean, you and me have actually been playing StarCraft pretty much since it came out. I've been playing Protoss for 7 years, and 6 years, and random for 5. And I never really stopped. But yeah, it's one of those things where, even for you and me to stay on top, it was never really easy.
No,
it took a lot of work. So I think that might be another reason why some of these RTS players are having a little bit of a harder time. But StarCraft 2 is going to be very different from StarCraft in good ways, but it's going to be quite different. For instance, when I play StarCraft 2, for instance, at the last BlizzCon, I was having a really hard time just getting used to auto mining. Even though I knew my probes were automatically going to mine minerals, I was still grabbing them right when they pop out, just automatically, like I've trained my brain to do that. So, I mean, there's going to be stuff that StarCraft players are going to have to get used to. Mechanics and stuff like that. Even a 3D interface. I know microing can be a little bit different on a 3D interface like that. We're used to microing on a 2D board. So, we'll see what happens.
Now, it is going to be different from StarCraft 1, sure. But, I am a big StarCraft elitist. Everyone knows it. And I think that
you're like a game racist. Like You only like StarCraft.
What can I say?
No, it's a good game.
But, you know, I think that StarCraft players, for many reasons, are going to have a huge lead in this. First off, StarCraft 2 is going to be most like StarCraft out of any RTS game. I mean, we can see that already. That is clear as day. A lot of units are coming over. They're trying to make similar feels in the races overall. Yeah. This type of thing. You know, the economy looks like it's going to function closer to StarCraft than any other game. And, you know, especially from my point of view at least, you know, StarCraft, this is the most complex, hardest RTS out there. I mean, we've seen, you know, 10 years, this pro scene in Korea. There's just more evolution in this game. You have to understand it deeper than these other games. So I really feel like StarCraft players are just better at RTS than these other gamers. What do you think about this?
I do think StarCraft's harder than other RTS games, and I've actually been told that by people that don't play StarCraft. I mean, other RTS guys too. They say no, the game's harder. You know, actually, I think it's in part because the game's old, so people really know what's going on. It's pretty popular still. I mean, if you're going to get really, really, really high level games, you want to go on iCup. But frankly, you know, when I was in college before I came here. I try to get my friends into StarCraft. They just get on, you know, US West or US East, the BattleNet servers, and they would just get manhandled, you know, by these people that I would not normally think are actually that good. Even in BGH games, they'd be like, "Whoa, these people are good." And you know, that's another thing that's very popular. It's kind of hard to penetrate now. I'm sorry. What was the question? I started to ramble a little bit. What were we talking about?
Well, I'm just saying. I think that the StarCraft players are going to dominate this. We're not going to see that many players from other games.
Sorry about that. I think it's possible that there'll be a few other players. For instance, I think Moon from Warcraft 3.
Sure, yeah.
Like, when I watch Moon, I'm like, okay, this guy's really, really good. There are other people as well. But yeah, it is still very much like StarCraft. It's going to be a matter of if you can manage an economy correctly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for instance, you know, just understanding, okay, if I cut 5 probes to do a, you know, Dragoon Rush, how many SCVs do I have to kill, or at least have my opponent take off minerals when they're repairing the depot? You know, to get ahead, and you know, stuff like that. You know, if I don't get a robotics, you know, bay, and I skip observers and get a nexus, how much farther ahead will I be? You know, weighing cost benefit stuff. I think is really key, and I don't think other RTS games quite function like that, because a lot of other RTS games are centered very much so around early micro. StarCraft has that too, but you know, StarCraft is also so figured out. And I think StarCraft 2 should end up like this, because the economy seems to function in a similar fashion. That there will be points in time where you shouldn't be able to attack your opponent for maybe 5 minutes if you're turtling correctly. For instance, we see that in Protoss versus Terran. Like, a lot of people don't get StarCraft and think, why are these guys not attacking each other? Yeah. I've been watching this for 10 minutes, and it's literally 2 guys setting up for a big battle because they know there is no moment in time on certain maps and certain periods of time in the game where you can attack your opponent. Now, and the game might be different. You know, I'm happy. You know, I'm not afraid to be wrong if the game starts to function completely differently. But that will be one thing StarCraft players will have an edge on. But at the same time, you know, it's going to be a matter of, can you adjust? You know, people like you and me have been playing the same game for 10 years. I mean, the meta game has been changing. Actually, 11 years now. It's almost 11 years old. The meta game's been changing, but you know, it's still the same game. Yeah. So you and me are going to have to get used to that. You actually have been very good at other RTS games. I play a lot of fighting games. I'm kind of just, you know, I play all sorts of games. But, you know, can we, you know, make that transition? I think it's going to be possible. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you know, I do think, I have to back up for a moment here. I do think that top players from other games, some of them are going to succeed. I just think that the vast majority of the good players in StarCraft 2 for the first couple of years are going to come from StarCraft.
I think so. And then I think the next game that would make sense would be Warcraft 3.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think that game's more competitive. Yeah, I think it's more competitive than the other RTS games out there. You know, it's funny. I was I won't say the player's name, but I was teaching a top RTS gamer from another RTS game, StarCraft, and I was showing him, Protoss versus Protoss. I was like, okay, if you haven't found your opponent yet with your scouting probe, hide one of your pylons before you send your probe into his base, because that way, if he scouts you, it looks like you're going to do a hidden tech, but you're not actually. That'll force him to get a robotics facility